This is Tony Novak here to share a few points on how to stay out of tax trouble. Let's jump right in. Today's topic is the worst that can happen. And while nobody likes to dwell on negative topics, I've been getting a few questions and just thought it might be useful to address fears that I suspect a lot of people have. And I'll mention also that we're in the midst of yet another winter storm, so there is some wind sound in the background. Will be interesting to see if it comes through. I can hear it as I'm speaking now. The blinds and the wind's moving a little bit. Um, the worst that can happen. So when we have a tax problem, I know that some people have fears, and some of those fears are frankly irrational. You'd be surprised at how many calls or conversations that I have to have over the course of a year to convince someone that they don't have a risk of going to jail. Let's leave it at this. If you have a risk of criminal prosecution for taxes and going to jail, you know it. There shouldn't be any doubt. And if that's the case, it would take about a 2-minute conversation where I would have enough information, wouldn't want to know more, and I would want you to talk to a tax attorney. And then if I continued, I would work for the tax attorney, not directly for you. But and let's for this conversation, let's say in 99 point something cases out of 100, criminal tax prosecution is not an issue for the people that run into tax problems, make mistakes, uh, do things that they shouldn't have done, which is, spend money on something else and not on taxes. Those types of things do not result in criminal tax prosecutions. And if there is a significant fear, if that's a lingering fear, I will try to coach through it. Sometimes I've had multiple times where we have to keep coming back each time we talk. Remember, we talked about this, that it's not a risk of prison. And some people do have a significant issue. So I'm not belittling it. It is a real issue and a real fear. It's just not a realistic thing that we have to worry about in tax planning. The next thing people worry about, the worst that could happen, losing my house. They'll come and take my house. Well, IRS and the state do not want your house. What they want is for you to have a solution to pay off your taxes. So in most cases, if there is a tax debt that is of a certain size, they will put a lien on your house. And I always mention that it's the psychological burden is worse than the real burden. What a lien really means is that when you sell that property, you've got to settle the lien. You have to pay them off at settlement. There's no consequences other than psychological until then. It does pose an issue if you go to refinance in that term, but the point is we can deal with that. That's the lesson here. We can deal with that tax lien if you want to refinance your mortgage. We just have to go to the IRS and get them to what's called subordinate that lien, and we're able to do that in almost all cases. The next fear is my bank account. Yes, if you owe taxes and you do not respond and you're persistently stubborn and don't act reasonably, which of course none of my clients do because we always come up with a plan to act reasonably. But if you do all of those things, yes, they will threaten, and then eventually they may levy your bank account. As a last fear we're going to mention today is attaching wages. And yes, IRS can do that, but again, only as a last resort after all other things have failed. Basically, we haven't communicated, we haven't responded, we haven't availed ourselves to any of the many solutions that are available to solve tax problems, and that is something that IRS can do. So I hope that helps in a quick nutshell format, that while there are bad things out there, in 99 out of 100 cases where there's a tax problem, those do not pertain to you. We will figure out a different, easier, more palatable, and more manageable approach. So thanks for listening. I'd love to hear your feedbacks or comments. I'm easy to reach either through social media or the website taxproblems.cpa. We'd love to talk one-on-one. I'll be back tomorrow with another Tax Minute.